Oh, sorry, did I just kick you in the face? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would do a little introductory video because I haven't actually introduced all my pets to you guys yet. So this will be the official introduction video. So I'm going to explain a little bit about how I got each of my animals, their backstory, their age, breed, all that sort of thing, and then also their favorite trick. So Charlie's tricks, Pups' tricks, Gremlin's tricks. So I have these guys. Obviously, I also have my horses. They don't live with me though. They're down in the Gold Coast, so they're about an hour away from me, so they're not gonna be in this video, obviously. Bubba is my bird. He's out there at the moment. I'll bring him in later, but he is hating me at the moment because he goes through these hormone cycles. If you have parrots, you'll probably understand. So at the moment, I am like his worst enemy. So he's out there for the moment, and depending on how he feels today, we might bring him in, but we might not. So I'm gonna start with Chubby. Pups, come here. Come see, have a look, say hello to the camera. Come on, Chubby, come. Come here. Yes, you have to be in the video. Get everyone to have a look at you. So Chubby is, honestly, I don't know exactly how old Chubby is because I kind of stopped counting, but I think he might be like 11, which is so old and I hate it. Anyway, so I've had him since 2014, I think, or 2015. I got him, they didn't know how old he was when I got him because I got him from the RSPCA. And so he was about maybe 2 when I got him. And he'd been in the shelter for, I think, about a year at that point. Like, just nobody wanted him. So I actually woke up that morning and I just woke up and I just had this feeling and I was like, I have to go to the RSPCA today. And I told my boyfriend at the time, I'm like, can we just go like to the RSPCA? I just want to have a look. And he's like, you just want to have a look? I'm like, yeah, I just want to have a look. So I go online, like while I'm eating breakfast, because I just had this like feeling, and I'm looking through the dogs they have for adoption online, and then you can also go, and they've got a really nice facility in Brisbane that you can go and like walk through, and you can see all the dogs in person that are up for adoption. So I'm online, and I'm like looking at the photos. I see his little face. I'll show you the photo. It'll be here somewhere. And so I see his little face, and I'm just like, that's my dog. So I go, all right, let's go have a look. It was also really hot that day and I didn't have aircon, and I also lived way out, like probably an hour and a bit like into the bush, like west in Australia. So that's like quite hot, and it was like 40 degrees that day, 40 degrees Celsius. Also just want to be in aircon all day. So that was my excuse. So we go there and I'm like, look, I think I want a dog. I think I want a working dog. Because I lived on property at the time. So I was like looking at like, you know, Kelpies, Border Collies, those sort of things. And I walked past him because obviously he's in the little area you kind of walk through, like the corridors, and I walk past him. He's barking this like really annoying, like high-pitched yappy bark. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, that's the dog that I saw. I put my hand over, because it's kind of like a half door, you know, so you can actually go over and like pat the dogs if you want. Obviously if the dogs, they only have the door open if they're dogs that will tolerate that. So I put my hand over and he kind of like cringes and like won't come near me. And I was like kind of offended. I was like, oh, okay, well then maybe this dog doesn't like me. And it was also barking like a really high-pitched, annoying bark. And I was like, oh, you know, I don't really want a dog that's like going to be barking like that a lot, because it just like really like got to my ears. And I had like noise sensitivity issues, which is crazy because I own a freaking parrot. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So I keep walking, volunteers come out and they're like, all right, what sort of dog are you interested in? And they're bringing out all the Border Collies, and we go out and meet them. And then we would go and like look through the application paperwork, and they'd be like, oh, this dog needs 6-foot fences. This dog needs 6-foot fences. I didn't have 6-foot fences at the time. I was living on a property. They had pretty bad fences. They were just kind of like wire mesh. Anyway, so those were all duds. And I was like sitting there, and we'd been there for a couple of hours by this point. And then the volunteer goes, oh, well, what about Chubby? Because the volunteer loved Chubby. And Chubby had been there for a really long time. And so I'm like, yeah, sure, like let's bring Chubby out. And it turns out to be that white dog, the black and white dog that I saw online that had the annoying bark. And instantly, as soon as we met, they took us out to like this little run around area, like exercise area. And obviously, because he was just always inside, he has so much pent up energy. And he's just running zoomies, doing round. Had sit down, everything like already, he just already knew that. And I was like, oh, this is actually a really great dog. So I decided to take him home. And also the paperwork said he didn't need 6-foot fences. They said like, it's probably gonna be fine. He's had, you know, as I said, like his door at the rescue was like was only a half door and he was staying in. So like, it should be fine. Like otherwise they would have written on the file. Well, turns out they should have written it on the file. Could not keep him in, could not. So the reason he was at the RSPCA was because he kept getting picked up as a puppy roaming around Redland Bay area, which is like a suburb of Brisbane. And so he's roaming around and they just keep finding him, picking him up, and then the owner has to come get him out, and eventually she just goes, nah, I surrender him. So that's how he ended up at the RSPCA. For some reason that wasn't on the paperwork until afterwards. And yeah, could not keep this dog in for probably the next 8 years. Wait, 2014 to, what are we in 2025? 10 years. Actually, no, he stopped now, so maybe 9 years. 9 years that this dog was an escape artist. I called him Houdini. One time he went missing, and if you're from Brisbane, then you understand these suburbs, like from Hurston, and he turned up at Roma Street Parklands. He had to cross highways, like motorways, to get there. I don't know how the hell he got there. So yeah, that was a huge learning curve. I remember I put him in my house that night, or maybe the next day, went to go to the shops to get some food, drive him back home, and I lived in like a small town, country town. So the shop was like literally around the corner, and I'm like driving home and I'm like, it's a really nice looking dog on the side of the road. And I'm like, wait, that's my dog. He had jumped out a glass window that was on the second story because he had such bad separation anxiety. So what would happen is he would get the separation anxiety and then he would escape. And then the escaping would be really fun for him. And like, because he was such a smart dog, like he just loved it. He'd go jump in people's yards. He'd make friends. He'd always go back to the same places that he had a lot of fun at. Whenever he escaped, I would go like hang around those places and like wait to see if I could find him. It was self-reinforcing. It was fun. It was way better than staying at home. And then put that together with like the anxiety of like separation anxiety. If I had a dog with separation anxiety, and a lot of shelter dogs get it, it's so hard to deal with. If I would lock him up and stop him from being able to escape, he would just sit there and bark and bark and bark all day, this poor dog. And it was just so hard to deal with, and it took me so long to work through that. He's great now. He can literally have the gate open and he'll stay home. I'll go out and he'll be fine. But it literally took me 8 years of behavioral rehabilitation to get him to just stay home. And he would also escape when I was home too, because he would just get bored. If I didn't stimulate his brain enough, he would just decide to take himself for a walk. And that was fine when I lived on property, because like he would usually come back, but in the city a few times he would get so lost. I think one time he spent like 2 days walking around Red Hill, and like everyone on Facebook and me were just trying to track him through like sightings. And this dog is so hard to find. He's just too smart. So, but yeah, that taught me a lot about separation anxiety and how to train dogs like that. But yeah, he is quite smart. He loves learning. So I think the first thing I taught him to do was chase his tail. So he's really good at that. He can do bow. He can do beg. He can touch his nose. He can speak. What else? I shoot him and he'll play dead. He can roll over. He can weave through my legs. All those sort of things. So he's really, really good. And so his favorite trick, I reckon, would be the bow. Tail? Nope. And then this little guy, I don't know, I think he is definitely the coolest cat I've ever owned. I've had cats since I was 2 years old. I got my first cat when I was 2. She was my best friend. We used to have tea parties together, which I think is adorable. But yeah, so Gremlin, I got him off the streets, if you couldn't tell, because obviously he rides a skateboard like a pro. So he was living on the streets and I was working in a vet clinic, and my vet brought him to work one day and put him in the back cage. So I walk into work and there's just this cat in the cage. I'm like, oh, whose cat is that? Like, it's too early for us to have admissions yet. And he goes, oh, this is just a cat that's like wandered into my house and has just decided to live there, which is what cats will do. And he already had 3 cats, so he was having issues with like the other cats getting stressed out, because he literally just walked in and went, all right, this is my house now, and just like set himself up on the bed and was like, this is my house. And the other cats were obviously like, this is not your house. So my vet brought him in and was going to take him to the pound. And I walk in and he's asleep. He must have been like, I think like 6 months old, and he's laying on his back. And I walk in and he rolls over and he stretches his little paws out through the cage bars, and he does a big stretch, and he goes, meow, and just looks at me, and I'm like, don't worry. I'm like, I'll take him. I was like, don't take him to the pound. I'll take him home. So the vet said, yep, okay, if you want to do that, then I'll de-sex him for free and vaccinate him and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I did. And so that's how I got him. And the first couple of days, he was like real chill. Like, obviously he's had a pretty rough life on the street. I think he was a bit anemic, like he had really bad fleas. And then once that cleared, oh my God, this cat was absolutely freaking crazy. I have never had a cat that was so intense. And he had really bad behavior problems. So if there was any food anywhere, he would eat it. Like, it was like he thought that he would never get food again, so he became obsessed with food. Like, he would rip the bin open, he would steal food.
Get your face out of my food!
If I had like something out on the counter, he would be there and I would be literally fighting him off.
What have you done? You're trying to steal the food and now you got your claw stuck. Oh my goodness, hang on. What have we learned? Don't steal pasta.
And I'd never dealt with that before. Like, I've never had a cat that acted like that before. He was absolutely almost uncontrollable with his food, and he would get aggressive too. So he would get frustrated really, really easily. His frustration tolerance was really low. So if he wanted food, you know how cats meow at you? They're demanding food. Well, he would meow a few times and then he would just go straight to full aggression. So he would grab my leg and he would attack my leg to the point where I'd have to end up having to scruff him to get him to pull off. So I was like, all right, how do I fix this? Because at the time I was working in the vet clinic, I had been training dogs for a little while, I was training my parrot, and I was like, clicker training them, obviously, clicker training all of them. And I was like, I reckon I could do this without any punishment, because I'm like, I don't want to be punishing him. Yeah, I could spray him with water every time he attacks my leg, but is that actually going to fix any of the problem? No. It might fix him attacking me, maybe, but it would destroy our relationship, and also it wouldn't fix the way that he was feeling, because obviously this behavior is coming from how he's feeling inside. So I was like, all right, let's see if I can fix it. So his frustration and aggression was coming from food scarcity, and that was something he had learnt. So I had to teach him that, hey, food is always going to be available. So the best thing to do, I thought, would be to get a time feeder. So every single day, the exact same amount of food comes at the exact same amount, the exact same time. And that did wonders with helping him kind of relax around food, but it did take probably like 3 years, if not more, for him to now, be pretty chill around food. Not only that, sometimes he didn't even know what it was that was wrong. He just had this need and he would just get so frustrated and aggressive, and I wouldn't know why. He would just come up to me and he'd be rehearsing these behaviors of biting me, or he'd be trying to get my attention. Attention was a big thing, like he always wanted my attention, and if he didn't get it, he would escalate and start biting me, and if I'd ignored that, then he would fully attack my whole leg. So we started doing some clicker training, and I started teaching him some tricks. So he can spin both directions, he can sit, he can beg, he can high five, and he can play dead. So I shoot him and he plays dead. Bang. Good job. And he also rides a skateboard. Ta-da! So all of that was part of my behavioral rehabilitation plan to teach him new behaviors that he can do when he wants my attention or when he has a need. Because most of the time that need was he wants food and he wants attention, sometimes at the same time. So that's what the best way to do that is to get him to do a behavior, and then I reward that with my attention and with food. So eventually he would come up to me and he would be like, meow, and I knew that he was gonna, and I'd be like, all right, sit. And he would sit, like, great, spin, great. We'd do a little tiny mini training session. Or I'd be like, come on, do you wanna ride your skateboard? Okay, skateboard out, and he would ride a skateboard. And I would only have to do that, like maybe for like a minute, and then he's completely settled back down again. So that was something that was pretty cool to implement with him, because that's also something that I use in horses and I use it in dogs. Back when I was working in the vet clinic, I would take on some like vet referral behavior cases, and that was a huge thing, was teaching an alternative behavior and working with the animal's emotions, because you can suppress behavior, but if you actually work to change the emotion, then the behavior is going to go away and you fixed it, but you've also fixed it permanently. So now he very, 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 very rarely gets frustrated or aggressive towards me. I don't even have to do those repetitions with him because he's just sort of calmed down as he's gotten older and as he's gotten more secure in our relationship and also more secure with food. And yeah. Charlie! So Charlie is next. Woo! Careful, don't pop it. So this is Charlie. Charlie is technically not my dog. I just dog sit him most of the time for my housemate. But I love him. He fits in great with the family. He is my baby. I've known him now probably for like 7 years. So shush! But he loves balls. He absolutely loves balls. He's just like a German Shepherd in a Pomeranian body, I swear to God. He's so smart. He's so driven. I wish I did agility with him when he was younger. But now he's got a two collapsed cervical vertebrae, and he's got a kind of a little bit torn ACL. Not too bad. It does need surgery to repair, but it doesn't cause him really any that much pain because he's on pain relief anyway for his cervical degeneration. So he's pretty much just like, they're just rubbing on each other right there. So it's a bit painful. He's just an old man now. So he's probably the same age as Chubby, but obviously Chubby's a mixed breed, so he's probably going to live forever. And Charlie is a purebred, so he's got all the medical issues. Bless you. It's so funny because everyone always wants to pat him when we're out, but he hates people. He especially hates children. Like, he will bite children, which is so scary. So I can't let him near any children. But they're always wanting to come up and pat him. So I've got to be on high alert whenever we're out, because the kids will just run up and be like, "Teddy bear puppy," and I'm like, "No, evil teddy bear puppy." And then I'm like, "You can pat Chubby," and then Chubby's looking at them and they're just like, "Oh, that one's scary." And I'm like, "He's not. He's the nice one. This is the scary one." So I've got one more left. Bubba. I'm gonna get him. We'll see if he wants to come in. He might yell at me. He really hates me at the moment, which is sad. So this is Bubba. I am too scared to actually ask him to step up at the moment because it's guaranteed he's not gonna step up. He's going to just bite the crap out of me. Hi. This is not his cage, don't worry. This is just his travel cage. So we go out in this backpack, and then when he's like this, like really hormonal like this, I use it to move him around just because he won't step up. He will just attack me. And he goes through phases, and it's something that we've always been working on. He was on the supraloin implant for a while, which is like a hormonal implant, because he got so hormonal and he would get really bad, he would just have nesting behaviors and really bad aggression and stuff, which is what he's doing at the moment. He's very loud. At the moment, he's actually quite upset, so I'm going to go put him back. So I got Bubba as a friend for another lorikeet that I found. So I found this lorikeet. It fell out of a tree one day during this really heavy wind. And obviously, like I said, they're native around here, so I thought it was just a wild one, so I put it in a box. So I think probably just concussed, put it in a box overnight, woke up the next day, opened the box, and it just jumped up on my finger. And wild birds will not do that, ever. So I was like, oh, well, you must be someone's pet they've lost. So I kept it, I posted flyers up everywhere, listed it as missing. No one ever claimed her. So I was like, oh, I'll just keep you then. And then she was really quiet, really, really quiet, never made a single sound. And when I found her on the ground, she had a broken beak. So I reckon she's had some sort of trauma, and that's why she was really quiet, because she never made a sound. And I was like, this is great. I'll get her a friend. And then I got Bubba. And he was hand-reared, so I got him off another vet nurse. He was hand-reared, so he was he just thinks he's a person, essentially. And he was so loud. And I was like, oh, this is actually what lorikeets are supposed to be like. Mine was just broken. So then she ended up, unfortunately, escaping back into the wilds. It was weird. She wasn't super tame, but she wasn't super wild, but she just decided that she wanted to go back into the wild. I think she escaped twice. First time I found her, and the second time I never found her again. So that really sucked. But that happens sometimes with birds. And then I just had Bubba. And by then I'd fallen in love with him. He's just a little baby. He's just the cutest little fluffy baby when he wants to be. And then he can go from that to just being an absolute ass for a good 2 weeks, and then he'll just go back. So he's just got this hormonal cycle that I've just kind of learned to accept and doing my best to like kind of mitigate. So he goes through these cycles. I mean, it's so hard because I live in an area where he is a native. So all around are the native birds of his same species, and they're all nesting at particular parts of the year. Usually, I feel like it's like most of the year, to be honest, when the trees are blooming, after rain, like they're just always nesting, which is annoying because that will then their calls and their, you know, that'll trigger him as well. So I try and do everything right. Like he gets the right amount of like daylight hours to night hours to try not to like stimulate his reproductive system. But you know, that's hard to do when his reproductive system is based on the exact location that I live in. But hormones are like the number one pretty much problem, other than fear, in birds that causes behavior problems in birds. It's usually hormones or fear, or a combination of both. So it is something that we try and work on, and that is not obviously his only cage. He has an indoor cage, which is always open. I'll show you the setup. And then he's also got a big outdoor cage that he gets to go out in. So my bird Bubba has 3 cages. This is one of them. Specifically, this is his outdoor play cage, and it's reinforced steel netting. It's actually from cat nets. And because he can't fly, I've connected all of the branches with ropes so he can climb around. He gets so much exercise in here. And I also have a camera set up so that I can keep an eye on him. And he also goes to backpack all the time. So I take him out to see my horses. I take him out for breakfast.
Smoking cigarettes on the road. Smoking cigarettes. You look so pretty and I love this view.
I love taking my bird to dog cafes. Okay, it's so fun because people are like, take dogs, whatever, boring. What about a bird? And this is Roni and Bubba meeting for the first time. So cute. Bubba loves meeting other animals. And that's why I love the backpack rather than just a harness, because it keeps him safe from the outside world. Sometimes if he's being good, he does get to come out when we're out.
But yeah, he doesn't really know any tricks, but he knows a lot of noises. He can make lots of sounds. His favorite is the dog speaker toy. He knows exactly what noises I can't handle too. So when he really wants my attention, that's what he'll do. And like when he's not hormonal, it's like having a toddler. It honestly is. Like he just wants 24/7 attention. He wants to be on my shoulder. He wants to be in the same room I'm in. He wants me to carry him around in the backpack. Like he loves going in the backpack. It's the best time for him. I take him to the beach with us. So he gets like the best life possible, really. But yeah, it's just like mitigating like the hormonal problems can be rough sometimes. And I used to feel really bad about it, but now I've just kind of accepted that like I'm doing the best that I can. When he's happy, and when he's angry, he's still happy. He's just angry at me. So Bubba's favorite toys are tissues. He loves anything fluffy. He has a foot fetish, so if I let him, he will like come down and like hump feet or shoes or anything like that. Sometimes if he won't go back into his cage, he won't step up. I'll have to take my sock off and like sacrifice my sock and give him my sock, and then he just runs around the cage with my sock. So weird. He's so weird. But yeah, he's so funny though. He can't fly, like his wings aren't clipped, but he just never really learned how to fly, so he's got no confidence with flying. I do want to teach him to fly one day, but I think he's he's getting quite old in life. I got him from someone else, so I actually have no idea how old he is, but he has some kidney and liver issues, so I'm thinking that he's actually quite, probably towards the end of his lifespan. He knows quite a lot of sounds, and he'll just like come up with random sounds. Like he copied my laugh, and when he's really excited, he'll do like a little boing, which is really cute.
He's gorgeous. What do you do that for?
He's so weird. I don't know. This is when he gets excited. He'll sit there massaging his head like upside down. And him and Gremlin, like, I think they're friends, okay? I know that sounds weird, a cat and a bird, but they really do like each other.
Or you just trying to annoy him? Don't annoy him. He's having a nap. Oh God. Okay, come on. Here, I'm gonna help you down. Don't chase him. Come on. Step up. No, step up, Bubba. Oh, God. It's on now, Gremlin. Don't bite him. Bubba. Bubba, don't be
That's it for me for this video. Let me know in the comments if you want to know anything else about any of my pets, because I can make a video on any specifics if you guys want to know, or just what you want to see next. Yeah, see you guys in the next video.